Hello and welcome to episode number 4 of Scamwatch. I'm Josh. I'm here from Easy Crypto just to kind of give you some overviews of what the heck to look out for in this crazy crypto world to avoid some scams, avoid getting stung. We're going through this series, as you're probably aware. This is episode number 4 of 5. So at the moment, we've already been through various different types of scams that are out there in the crypto space. So today, number 4, we're going to specially focus on fake cryptocurrency mobile apps on your phone, give a little bit of an overview of what's happening there and how to avoid those things. If you think this type of series is going to be helpful for you, if you could please give us a little like below and just share this video with your friends or maybe family or anyone else that's potentially in the crypto space that we want to try and help getting stung from these type of activities, because as the crypto market really moves forward now in 2020, there's many people that are unfortunately making lots of money out of malicious practices, and it's not something that we want people to be able to get stung by. So hopefully this little video is going to help. So without further ado, we're going to jump straight into it, and we're going to show you what is going on in the world of cryptocurrency apps and fraudulent behavior in that respect. So just having a little look here at this article which we've got. It's quite simple. So this is actually from a little bit of time ago now. It was May, the middle of May 2019. So this was last year. But what we've seen is a rise of many of these things again in 2020 as the markets continue to increase. So what is effectively happening here in simple terms is there are many people who are in the crypto space, and plenty of legitimate cryptocurrency companies have mobile apps that you can download and install on your phone. And what is happening is malicious, scammy, horrible, nasty people are making fake versions of these apps, releasing them in the App Store, but making sure they look as near as identical as possible to the legitimate ones. And then within those contexts, people are trying to steal either your seed keys, your password keys, or even access your crypto to be able to then send it to another address. So ultimately, fake apps is what's happening. So here, this is an example of someone that's trying to make a fake Trezor app. So Trezor is, of course, a little bit like a Ledger Nano. It's a hardware cold storage wallet device, and of course that has an app too that goes along with the device. So Trezor is a great company, perfectly legitimate, doing really great things in the space, but unfortunately some people have taken advantage again of that trust and made a fake app. So here you can kind of see that they've got a fake wallet app where you can sign in, get the details, and effectively what it's trying to do is basically send the information that you entered into the app to another place where other people can then use those details to take advantage of your legitimate wallet, which obviously is not what we want. There's another one here for Coin Wallet app, which again is doing the same thing. And again here, this little article has some tips on how to stay safe, but again we'll explore this in a bit more detail here in this video. So that's kind of what's happening here. And then again, there's another article which is alluding to over 10,000 people downloading fake cryptocurrency apps. So it's not, huge sways of numbers. Obviously the crypto space at this point in time is still somewhat small in the grand scheme of things, and obviously the amount of people that use these websites of a percentage of all of the crypto user base is quite small. And then again, the people that use the crypto apps of those websites or companies again is even smaller. So it's not a huge amount of people that are being caught by this, but ultimately as the space grows, it's a continuously larger and larger number of people, and we want to make sure people are aware of what's going on. So ultimately, how do you know if the app in which you have downloaded is a real app or a fake app? Well, there are some pretty interesting telltale signs. So the first thing that you shouldn't worry about is the visuals. It's very likely that the app branding, the logos, the way that things are worded are going to look very similar, if not near identical, to the original legitimate app. One of the easiest ways to tell in which if the app itself is good or not, or functioning as it should, is simply the amount of downloads that the apps have. If they have what you perceive to be a realistic number of downloads, these larger companies expect them to have tens if not hundreds of thousands of downloads. If you're looking at an app that's a fake app for a big company like Binance or Trezor and it's only got a few hundred downloads, then that's probably something to question as a step one. Again, on top of that, Have a look at the Google reviews in the App Store. It's very often very common that if people don't like what they see, they're quite vocal about it in trying to protect other people. So look at the star rating of the app as well in the App Store. Often that's a really good giveaway. And then beyond that, you ultimately just need to ask yourself what you're using this mobile app on your phone for. There are many great phone apps out there to store crypto and to move crypto around and all these different types of things. As a general rule of thumb, particularly if you're trading or have any intention of trading crypto, my personal advice is always to stay the hell well away from mobile devices, full stop. Ultimately, if you're looking at charts and graphs and trying to buy in and sell, or even if you're trying to just send coins, copying and pasting and sending very long strings of numbers for addresses and wallets on your mobile phone is not the easiest thing in the world to do. It's 100 times better on a desktop. So I would always, if possible, try to stick to using a desktop in case of, well, just practicality of it being much easier to do, really, much better practice, especially if you're looking at charts and graphs, as I said previously. So in that respect, I have apps on my phone for crypto, of course, doing what I do, but I don't log into any of them. There is no kind of record of me being in there. I'll just simply have a lot of apps there that are quite passive in order for me to check market prices, in order to be notified about certain things. And that way I can then, typically if I have my phone with me, it's fairly easily, to get to a computer, be it at the office or be it at home or wherever. So ultimately, if the apps kind of tell me that something is, I need to pay attention to something, whether it be a buy or a sell or a this or a that or an up or a down, I then just flip over to a desktop. So that's the way I do it, and I would probably advise similar people to do so. There is not necessarily a huge need to store crypto on your mobile device. A lot of these wallets can have, multiple access points. So you can, of course, have that option, but you just really have to ask yourself, is it worth the risk? So, you can take some serious steps to make sure you mitigate these things and have two-factor authentication and passwords on your phone and download legitimate apps. And of course, if you're using it in those manners, you're not necessarily going to end up finding yourself in a problematic place. But as a general rule of thumb, crypto is still a little bit tricky. It's still not the most user-friendly thing in the world. The technology in the space is still emerging quite quickly. I know a lot of people have the crypto.com app on the phone, which is probably one of the more common ones as I film this video at this point in time. So obviously some of the evidence here and the articles were before crypto.com was a big thing. So many people are using that as an app on their phone to store the coins there. So again, that's a very large company that's entered the space, and it's something that we're testing internally at the moment before we make too many kind of criticisms or suggestions or promotions about it. So again, I don't want to speak too much about that because I don't have the level of personal experience that I feel is required to give you guys the best advice. It's again something that we're playing with quite extensively internally. And when we have the kind of information about that, if we feel that it's a more secure and better way of doing things, and again, we'll be happy to pass that information on. But till this point, the general rule of thumb and the advice that I would give people in general is to avoid cryptocurrency fake apps in the App Store, is either not to use them, to make sure you follow the steps which I've laid out previously about checking the feedback, the star rating, the amount of downloads, and to try and, if they are there to be used, feel free to use them for passive things, checking prices, looking at what's going on, news and information and resources, and then if at all possible, try and stick to a desktop where inevitably you're going to have better control over what's going on there with your crypto. It's just a bit of an easier environment to operate, particularly if you're talking about large quantities of money. It's always better to have that extra level of control, and it's just a bit more practical to manage money on a desktop than a mobile at this point in time. And again, with the onset of these apps, that may well change in the future, but ultimately at time of filming, that's probably the best advice I could offer you at this point. So that kind of concludes episode number 4 of Scamwatch. So we're going to move on to the final episode. So down in the description below, we're going to be able to link all the various episodes. So we've got the main introduction video, which gives you an overview of what's coming, and then of course the five videos which we prepared for you, which will hopefully give you a good illusion as to the main 5 scams in crypto. So you'll be able to skip to number 5 just below if you'd like to see the next video in this installment. Hopefully you found this information helpful. If you have any comments or questions about these topics, please just leave some questions in the comments below, and we'll get back to you and try and give you as much information and as much up-to-date information as we can. And we very much look forward to seeing you in the next video.